gathered more information about the marketing itself, but it's my first time to participate in the digital marketing. That's why I'm sure it's all together to make the whole meaning of marketing, because I saw many people try it, and they are creating their own products through the internet itself. They are selling the products and they are delivering it through the internet. Many websites that they are selling the products and they are making some promotions. That's why I found out that why don't we make a great move through the internet that could be so great about every single products. You can, like, for example, I get the idea, like, to make it like, man, you can have the product, the brand, and another brand, and every single piece of the thing to clarify and to sell and buy your products. Like, we can find Nike, we can find Puma, we can find Adidas. All all are together to make the best marketing, like to make a move through the internet. That's kind of the digital marketing way that could be living in our day.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and I agree with you. Uh, let me kind of step back a bit because I kind of jumped right into the broadcast and didn't really give a little bit of background about myself. So the
Oh,
people that are just jumping in, can know who I am and what I do. So um, I run a digital marketing. I like to say that we are forensic digital marketers, meaning that we basically will go in and we help turn companies around. But we use digital marketing as kind of one of the tools for turning these companies around. So when I say forensics, that means we get into all the deep parts of a company. We look at financials, we look at operations, we look at strategies, we look at organizational development, we look at all of that. We look at revenue generation, profit margins, all of that. And based on that, we can come up with a really tight digital marketing plan that will help support the company goals. So I spent about 22 years in sales and marketing with companies like Johnson & Johnson, Novartis, GlaxoSmithKline.
Novartis.
What's that?
So many
Yeah, Novartis.
you already worked at Novartis. It's a
Yep,
pharmaceutical company.
yep, yep. So I worked
Yes, man.
Novartis.
Where do you live, man? Could you tell
I
me?
was in I was in Florida at the time.
Oh,
I moved up to the Chicago area when I joined Johnson & Johnson. Then I went back to school, got my master's in finance, um, and also got licensed in personal finance. So I fell in love with digital marketing. Started my company in 2011 when I was downsized from Johnson & Johnson. So I thought there was a big disconnect between digital marketing or marketing in general and all the other parts of a company. Um,
yes, man.
and yeah, I just think there is. And as I started launching the business, it became evident that a couple of things. Businesses said, you know what, I'm not going to pay that price point because I don't believe. I just want somebody that's cheap, is going to market me on social media, blah blah blah, and that's it. And I would say, well, what are your revenues? What's your profit margin? What's bringing? They're like, and they had a big question on their face. I'm like, well, how do you know it's working? What's your ROI? What's your return on investment? Um, and they didn't know. So I stuck with my model. I moved forward, and I learned a lot from the internet. I love a lot of thought leaders, but there just came a time when everybody was saying the same thing. There's only
Yeah.
so many times you can say the same thing. So I'm like,
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
let's
It's
get some
totally
people.
silly to listen the same thing from people, because the majority of people just to know the marketing itself through to find the customers' needs and wants, and to enhance it through just supplying or providing them with a great service or a better service. This is the usual thing that I already hate it. Yes, because we have to be more creative than we are. Because man, if you can think, I already found so many people who already got the marketing itself through the marketing, through trading with people, through trading with the customers, through their own projects. And they didn't study it through just material or online or anything, but they already got it from the work life. That's why, if you wanted to go deep in it, we have to confess that we have to get it from the work life. Because if we wanted to
So
read more
can
about
you
it, we're
explain
going
that
to.
to me?
What,
I mean,
man?
what do you mean? What do you mean we need to get it from the work life?
Oh,
I'm not quite following you.
okay, man. I just wanted to specify something. If you wanted to go deeper in the marketing itself, we have to get in touch with the work life more than we are. Because the more we're going to get in touch with the marketing, with the work life, we're going to get the marketing field through its way, the way it should be. And we're going to be more creative than we want. Because if I wanted to read more about the marketing, I'm going to see the whole topics, the whole thing, the whole sites that I can find are all the same. So if I want to get the marketing from for example, the computer services, I have to go deep in the marketing with, I have to go deep in the marketing in the work life to go in touch with with the computer services products and the mall or anything to think about. Hey, hello, Tristan.
I'm in the car for a couple minutes.
I
That's
like it.
like it. That's so
Got the
great.
little windshield thing going on there. Okay.
I like this
Yeah.
country. Yes,
Cool.
that is
No,
pretty
Ahmed,
cool. Okay,
I
man.
agree with you. I mean, yeah, I agree with you totally. Trista, what do you think? I mean, you said it right there. Companies don't see marketing in their holistic strategy at times. So the challenge here is, how do people that want to be different in digital marketing and social media marketing break away from the crowd and do something that's going to be of value to the companies that we're working for? Let's co-create something.
It's so hard to tie ROI to digital marketing. You know, it shouldn't be that hard, but it is. And until we can solidly justify it, it's never going to be part of the holistic strategy. I mean, you've got that ever-present, struggle between sales and marketing. Sales thinks that they're the rainmakers, right? But they ignore the fact that we're the ones who are, building up the humidity, if you will. So, it's hard to get justification because, sales is ultimately so closely tied to ROI. So I think that marketing is always going to be sort of the redheaded stepchild.
But could you
I hear you. I want to
ask? Okay, you can. Okay, I
no,
just
go
wanted
ahead,
to
Ahmed. I
ask
want to hear what you.
something. Okay.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to add to. I just wanted to specify something. How can you name the sales and the marketing are challenging together to make something? How can you specify it from your own opinion or view?
If you don't mind, Trista, let me jump in and give my input on that. I was in sales. I probably spent more in sales than I did in marketing. A lot of times I felt as if marketing, I do feel as if sales was they were in the front lines. They knew what the customers wanted. They know what they didn't want. They asked the questions. A lot of times marketing didn't talk to the sales department. And a lot of times I felt as if the sales was trying to tell the marketing department something, but they already had their budget. They had their ideas, their little bobbleheads or whatever they wanted to send out.
Complete
complete disconnect. So I said, okay, so how can we connect all of this? And I really think that you can connect it, but I think you kind of have to take a backdoor approach, which is why I like to say I truly believe in what I like to call forensic marketing. So what we do is I go into a company and I start with a very basic question. What are your revenue goals? What are your revenue goals? What are your net revenue goals? Let's take out the taxes. Let's take out the operational goals, operational costs. What do we need to reach your target? Well, if we know what we need to reach your target, and we also understand the company vision, we understand the goals. Now we can kind of drill down towards what can we do in marketing that we can give to the sales department that'll generate that return on investment. What I think is happening out here is everyone said, hey, I can make some money. I can be a social media marketer. I can get you online, get you followers and tweets, and I get paid. I don't really care about your ROI.
It's complete disconnect between the message and the objective. You can play around on social media, but if you don't have an objective for why you're doing it from a brand perspective,
Yes.
you're
That's why we can label. Yeah.
You're just
I'm
wasting
sorry,
time.
continue.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, brands need to be mindful. Every company approaches it differently. I work a lot with technology business to business clients. And so social media is tough to justify, but we're there. And we also, we have a digital marketing strategy, but, even technology companies don't really put a really high value on it.
So that's the whole purpose of this room. I really think that if you get people that are passionate and trying to, connect the dots together.
I don't have an answer. It's hard.
Say that again. You broke up.
Sorry, I got a phone call. What was the question?
No, I was saying that's the reason for me having this topic. I really think that if we get enough brilliant people out there that can put our heads together and say, okay, look, I think that we can connect the dots here. I think that we can take the social media, which is a part of digital marketing, and I don't care if they operate, if social media is a subset of digital marketing, it can still drive the results of the digital marketing strategy, which I think if it's closely tied to the overall operations of the company, can show an ROI. It may be an indirect return on investment, but I think it's possible. And that's what I want to have these discussions about, so that we're not talking about the same things all the time. Hey, what happened on Facebook? What about their privacy? What, Twitter followers, all that stuff. Let's talk about something that's going to be concrete, that's going to help us go to the next level. I mean, what do you think, Ahmed?
For me, man, I think we can go ahead and come back to the same point that we have. We just wanted to be creative. We just wanted to be the person, the company that we want. But how can we do that? We have to interact with the work life, as I mentioned, because it is one of the best things that we can do that. We have to train our staff in the innovation way that could let them create more and more and more. And I'm sorry for that, but I don't agree with anybody who can say the sales and the marketing are not the same thing. No, I can say marketing is the first part, and then we can find the sale. That's why we really should do something that can never let us compare between the sales and the marketing, because I think, and I'm sure from my short experience that I got, we can find the sales team just work from getting the information from the marketing team, and they are just meeting together to get the stuff together to make a complete thing that could be presented to the customers. Because if I'm the marketing, if I'm the sales person, how can I sell the product? How can I do that? So the marketing team should think about it. Should think about how can I let the sales team sell the product wisely? How can I do that productively? passionately, as you said, man, because we have to interact with the customers with a great passion way. This will happen through just creativity.
So then, uh, looks like I'm losing somebody else. Can you hear me? All right, looks like I'm losing everybody. Maybe I don't have a good connection. Let me see what my connection's like here. Um, yeah. Hey, Vicky, how you doing? Thank you for joining in. Can you hear me okay? Looks like I had a couple people drop out. Great, thank you. Hey, what is it? Edit video, or eat it. We're having a really good discussion here. I think it's something that needs to be had for people in the digital marketing and social media world. What we're trying to do is not, regurgitate content that's been out there before or topics. I'm trying to co-create here. I'm trying to take this to another level. And I think by a lot of us putting our heads together, we can take social media and digital marketing to where it needs to be in companies. Um, a lot of things are driving this discussion, and I think some of it is just my own frustration with I'm looking for some interesting information that's going to help me as a company grow and also be valuable that I can help other companies grow as well. However, I think we've just beaten the content horse dead. I think we've talked all we could about Facebook and changes and Twitter and followers and the right blog headlines and all of that. What's happening is companies are saying, okay, what is the ROI? Why do I need a digital marketing strategy? The thing is, a lot of us are not answering that question. Oh, you need it. You need it. I tell you, you need it. It's the way to go. You say, okay, but what does it do to my bottom line? And we go, I think it'll drive engagement. People engage with your brand. So, hey, Trista, thanks for coming back. So Vicky and Edit, we're trying to have this discussion into how can we as digital marketers and social media connect with what businesses want. The bottom line with people are in business is to make money. Even nonprofits need to make money. And we need to justify why companies need a digital marketing plan, why they need the social media. And I think Ahmed, we just lost him. One thing he was just saying was we need to bridge the gap between marketing and sales by finding out the whole pulse of the company. And I agree with that. So if we work from that angle, then maybe what we need to do is we need to, as digital marketers, become deeply entrenched in the culture of the company. I think that's one thing we need to do rather than operating as a separate entity. So Trista, you had some good stuff that you were saying. Now, welcome back.
I'm only here briefly, but
that's okay.
I'll throw it out there. I'm working with a client right now that has the ability to individually identify and serialize products that come off a manufacturing line, and we're looking at ways to tie that into both traditional and digital marketing, because you can tie it all the way back to the individual. And I think that moving in that direction is a way to help further justify an ROI for a campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a lot of other applications that I won't nerd out on right now, but that's the one that's most interesting to me as a marketer, to try and figure out, okay, well, how can we really effectively leverage this in both a way that you drive behavior from on-pack to online to in-store. So, I think that, we get closer and closer to kind of cracking the code. I'll be an old lady and I'll say, oh, remember when we used to play on Facebook?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know. You know, I came across something I thought was very interesting. I'm still trying to perfect
I
it.
can.
Can you still hear me? Okay, so um, I when I was going back to get my go back to grad school, and I focused on finance. We had to do something which is the retroactive regression analysis. So you had the dependent variable, you had the independent variable, and I said, what if you made the dependent variable revenue, and you made the independent variables all of your digital marketing channels, okay? And then what you were able to do is to see, okay, which one of these to a certain 95 percentage or error, not 5% error margin, were actually contributing most to the bottom line. And I said, I really think there's a way that you can use regression analysis to actually tie in an ROI in your digital marketing strategy.
You could take the approach that my client does,
Um,
and he says, we're going to try 10 things, and in marketing, half of it works. So we're just going to try 10, and we're going to assume that 5 work, and then we're good. I'm like, all right.
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
He doesn't mess with all those formulas. He just says, do
and
10
I
things.
agree with it. And I agree. The thing is, what I found interesting was I did use that formula in my prior life. And it was when I was in pharmaceutical sales. And I had a big area, almost the whole state of Chicago. And we were supposed to see certain clients based on their potential. So if they were an A client, we had to see them, once a month. B client once a quarter, C client, every so. Anyway, I sat around. I'm like, okay, so if it takes 8 touches to change behavior, the year is almost going to be over before I change a very high potential client's behavior. So there's got to be a better way. So I said, okay, so I took the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, 20-80 rule, whatever, and I actually took all of my clients, how much they were doing, how much business I put into this formula. I said, which one of these areas, which one of these suburbs or cities of Chicago are having the greatest impact on my business? And I was thinking, oh, the city of Chicago, it's a big city. Of course and it was not. It was actually a big town called Rockford, Illinois, that was actually driving most of my business. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So it was actually able to show me, contrary to what I thought may have worked or was the answer, was something totally different. So I became a big believer. So I can see you kind of doing the let's try 5 things or 10 things, and if 5 of them work, that's what we're going to do. But I also wonder, could that be
if you're not measuring it,
effect or not? I don't know.
That's my.
So what do we do then? I mean, how do we stop? How do we get off of this hamster wheel that we're on in social media and digital marketing?
Awesome
So okay, let's be creative. Let's be innovative.
I'm sorry.
How do you take it
to be continued? I would love to continue this conversation later.
Okay, well, hey, follow me. Jump on it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll be having one next week too. So let's connect. Okay. Thanks a lot for jumping on. Take care. That's all right. Bye-bye. Hey, the Thai guy, Michael D. Haynes, Alex, welcome. Anybody else want to jump on me? No, just jump on me. Jump in the room. I'm really trying to have hey, the Thai guy. I'm really trying to have an in-depth discussion because I think that a lot of us today are kind of jumping onto social media, digital marketing bandwagon. Some of us because, hey, it sounds good, let's do it, or it's the latest thing. But I really feel as if we need to take it to the next level. I think we need to create a new approach. I just spoke with a guy in marketing. His company in 4 years is now doing about $2 million in revenue. Very, very successful. And he said, all of my other fellow marketers kind of look at me funny because I am not approaching marketing in the way that they are. I'm approaching marketing as being an integral part of everything in the company vision, the operations, the organizational development, all of that. And drawing from that, I deliver and create a good advertising or marketing plan. I actually have been doing that on the digital side for the past 4 years. So I like to call myself a forensic marketer. So when my company goes in, for instance, when I started bringing people on board, I said, you know, first of all, I need people that are creative. I could give two hoots. I don't give a damn about if you have an MBA, PhD, or blah, blah, blah. I want you to be creative. I want you to be passionate. I want you to be innovative. Okay? But you also have to understand business. You have to understand how businesses operate. And that's how we started going into businesses, looking at revenue streams, looking at profit margins, looking at operations. Anything that could hamper the success of a digital marketing plan, we fixed. And I think being able to become such an integral part of the company's operations to understand that company has just raised our value. And, you know, hearing this other guy tell me, oh, you know, I'm doing that and we've been wildly successful, you know, kind of made me feel good. So I want to have this discussion. Please, anybody jump in. I want this kind of be a brain trust type of meeting. Let's throw out some ideas out there. It could be a new way of approaching business. Anything. So please, hey, Felix, thanks for jumping in. Welcome to taking digital marketing and social media to the next level. Let's co-create. Let's think of some things to do differently than talk about the same old stuff over and over, content marketing. The latest Facebook update, Twitter followers, all of that. So anybody have any feedback out there? I see some people have jumped in. We have 4 live viewers right now. Hey, who's still on? Edith, you still on? I think you are. Cool. Did you want to jump in and kind of give your feedback and maybe let us know what you're thinking? Maybe some frustrations, some changes you'd like to see in the digital marketing social media world. I mean, I can sit here and kind of talk about all the stuff that I've experienced and learned and what I think is broken and what needs to be fixed. I'm kind of opinionated, but I was opinionated too back in 1995 when I believed that every company needed to be on the internet, and my company folded because nobody thought they needed to be on the internet. I wish I would have stuck with it back then, but I didn't. So I think I'm going to try to stick with this now. So hey, come on, somebody jump in. Let's jump in a hot seat with me. Let's discuss this topic. Yes, Mike. Oh, I'm going to give you some big props. Helping entrepreneurs select effective tech. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yes. Yes, Mike. And I'm going to tell you why I love it.
Oh, sorry, I missed what you said there. It kind of cut out for a second. Hello? Oh, good. How are you doing?
Mike. So Mike's jumping on board. Hey, Mike, how you doing? I'm doing good. Thanks a lot for jumping in a hot seat with me.
Sure, yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Former civil engineer and municipal government employee. The last couple of years, I've been working on getting out on my own. And back in the day, before I started my career, I was a real big tech nut. And I've always still been involved in tech, but I got away from being that tech, feeling like myself, I was a technology kind of guy because I was involved in engineering, I was involved in government. Anyways, I'm bringing it all the way back, getting involved online, offering my technology skills as an applied business so that people can simplify their lives and get some time back. And I've been using Blab just to learn and to contribute where I can because there's a lot for me to learn about digital marketing. But I definitely see this as the future, and I've been seeing it as the future for quite a while. And similar to you, I kind of, tried a few things out. Things didn't quite work out, but it's overdue now, and it's time to really get in. And what I found is there's so much info online. It's hard to know what's what, and especially if you're not tech inclined, you can be led astray pretty quickly, and blow a lot of money, waste a lot of time, and that's what I found difficult. But I think I've really found my home as far as a few platforms go on an approach, and putting it to work, and it's really helping out. It's really clear to me at this point, but it's taken a while to get here.
Cool. Yeah. You know what? Well, welcome as far as, I guess, getting out there, being an entrepreneur and doing your own thing. I love what you said in your bio about implement effective technologies to automate, streamline, and grow their businesses. You know, when we originally started out as just the social media and business consulting, we started to expand and see that technologies could be a very valuable way to help like you said, streamline, make companies run more efficiency. When we looked at digital marketing, we felt as if digital marketing encompassed anything digital that would help reach our end goal. So I love what you're saying, and you know, that's the whole reason for this talk. I feel as if in digital marketing, I think it needs to grow. It needs to go to the next level. It looks like I'm having a bad connection. Can anybody still hear me? My office just gets some bad connections sometimes. So, all right. Hey, Alex, thanks. So while it might not be, you know, a super popular topic because we're not talking about what's the latest and greatest, I think we do need to figure out a way that we can move this to the next level. Another interesting report is, if anybody doesn't read it, take a look at YouTube. There's something from Duke University, Fuqua School of Business. They put out a CMO report, Chief Marketing Officer report. And it was very disheartening because they were saying, you know, less than 50% of companies can say they can actually equate their digital marketing efforts to an ROI. Only less than, I think, 5% were actually measuring return on investment for their social media. And a lot of companies just haven't embraced it. And I think that's because nobody is really giving them big explanations yet. We're not really saying, okay, hey, yeah, Mike, jump back in. This is totally brain trust thing here. So jump back in. So I think as digital marketers and social media, if you're in this room looking to implement it for your own company, or if you're a digital marketer, let me let Mike back in here. Got disconnected. So whether you're looking to implement this for your own company, or whether you're looking to take your digital marketing game to the next level, that's the whole purpose for this discussion. So I just want some people that are innovative thinkers. Let's put our heads together and let's think of a new way. Digital bacon.
Hello.
Right. There's a guy that lives by.
How's it going?
There's a guy that lives by me. Hey, Alex. Hey, what's going on? How are you? I was laughing at the digital bacon because there's a guy in my town who has a book on Amazon called it's
Oh wow.
It's not about bacon, it's about you. Brian Basilico, he's a social media guy. So
we should probably hook up.
Yeah. So I was like, oh man, he's always talking about bacon. Everything he has bacon around it. But yeah, look him up, Brian Basilico. So I help companies sizzle online. I like that, and I'm glad you jumped in because I guess you've been listening in. I'm a little frustrated. You know, I was in traditional marketing and sales for 20-something years. I fell in love with digital marketing. I looked at it as a low-cost alternative I actually thought it was a more targeted alternative for companies for their marketing. Studied it online, learned a lot about it, started my own company. But it got to a point where I kept hearing the same thing over and over and over. And I'm like, come on, guys, teach me. I need to know something new. I need something of value to deliver to my customers. So I think we need to take it to a whole nother level. I just think we do. And I don't know if anybody's either willing to take the time. I think a few people are getting it. I think people like, I think Chris Brogan is really good because he's looking at the holistic approach. which a lot of us I don't
Well,
think we
definitely.
do.
You know,
So
I've
I'd
been a
like to get your
professional in the
feedback.
industry
You're
for
shaking your head. I want to hear
almost
what
two
you have to
decades,
say.
and in fact, you know, my book. You mentioned Chris Brogan. Chris Brogan wrote the foreword for my book. So yeah, so we do have a relationship here. But
Cool.
you know, I agree with you in
Awesome.
that being that digital marketing is not a let's say a licensed profession. It is you don't have a really any kind of regulation as far as who can say they're a digital marketer and who's not. Therefore, you have a lot of people that maybe have a very
Good point.
shallow comprehension of what digital marketing is, and they're saying that they are digital marketers. From my opinion, the majority of the people that speak online about digital marketing are only talking about maybe 5 to 10% of what digital marketing is. And the majority of the time, they're referring to the acquisition portion of marketing, which is not unimportant. It is important in the nurturing and acquisition in the whole business as you know the business as a whole. However, acquisition is a small portion of digital marketing. You know, there is engagement, there is brand loyalty, there is you know, recurring purchases. I mean, there's so many dimensions to what digital marketing is and can be, and I think that we do a disservice when we are only focusing on the acquisition portion, because in a sense most of the time we're talking about only the advertising portion, right? Which responds to the acquisition. You know, you advertise, you acquire customer, but what happens next? What is the brand interaction? What is the engagement, the loyalty, et cetera, et cetera? So that is kind of my thought, is where when you say we can take it to the next level, it's almost like we need to take things back to their basics, right? To the fundamentals of marketing, and apply it to the digital tools and the digital channels. And those fundamentals include, you know, brand, include, you know, engagement, and all those other things that I mentioned.
Yeah, and I'd like to get a little bit deeper into that. I saw that this Ray jumped on board here. Hey, Ray, you trying to talk? I can't hear you. You got a bad connection, or
That's strange, huh?
that looks like you're kind of doubling up on your screen over there, Ray. Yeah. So, okay. So let's talk about taking it back to the basics then. My feeling is, if we do go back to the basics, do we run the risk of still separating marketing from all the other elements of a company? Because a lot of times sales and marketing, they're like this. They're bumping heads, man. You know, finance is operating differently, you know, separately. You got the operations department. You got the organization. You got all these things operating as silos.
Correct.
And I think
I agree.
they all should be intertwined. I think they should be working closely with each other. So then that brings up a whole nother point. When you talk about regulation and this not being a regulated, is it very possible that most people that get into digital marketing,
I would say business
just
as
do
a
not
whole. I mean,
understand
that's
company
the big
operations
question.
as a whole?
You know, do we understand business? Do we understand,
Yeah,
you know,
there you go.
revenue, profit? Do we understand customer acquisition costs? You know, all those fundamentals. And I really have serious doubts.
Yes. You know, so then why are a lot of us, you think, afraid to go down that route? Is it hey Mike, welcome back. Do you think it's an ignorance? And I don't mean ignorance in a bad way. I mean just ignorance, just not knowing. Is it a fear? Is it that, hey, I'm a social media marketer, I'm a digital marketer, I can get the low-hanging fruit, I can, you know, collect the check, I can care less about your company's revenue generation as long as I get paid, you know? You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they brought up a really cool point, and they said, you know, you're kind of like a forensic marketer. And I'm like, I kind of like that. I think that's going to go on our website, you know, because, our very first question out the gate when I walk into a company is, what are your revenue goals? What are your net revenue goals? Let's take out operating costs. Let's take out all that stuff. And once we know that, and we know which areas of their business are bringing in the greatest profit margin, now we can focus on that. Everything we can see if what the company wants to do actually lines up with their overall vision, because now you have to have employee buy-in. If you don't have employee buy-in, what happens? Then you have employee problems. Now you're saying, I have retention problems. That means a whole nother dynamic.
Right.
How is your marketing plan going to be successful if you're so scatterbrained? I'm talking about small business mostly, maybe small to medium. So the way we approach it and the way I wanted to approach it is, let's get those things fixed. Let's outsource it. Let's address those things,
Right.
because I feel as if our marketing plan would have a higher probability of success.
Yeah, I think
if we
what
can
you're
address
saying,
those issues.
at least as far as I'm concerned, is somebody
Mike, you
who's
want
been
to
involved
weigh
in
in on this?
technology for a while, has 10 years of intensive business experience. You have people who just don't have the experience looking at carve a piece of the market out for themselves online and doing their best with what they have, but in a lot of cases they don't have that baseline foundation to work from, and they're carving out a small part of the pie or piece of the picture. For those of us who have that experience, and when you talk the talk about operations management and interdepartmental silos or employee morale, obviously recognize when somebody else has been there too. And I think what's happening is, from what I've seen anyway, there's not a lot of folks who can really say that they've had that immersive experience with having to work in that bigger picture. They've been involved in one part of it. And then as far as the online part goes, they're doing their best to carve out a piece for themselves. But I think it's getting harder and harder for the younger generation. Like, I'm 31 now, and I think I'm at a weird kind of intersection, because I've got that internet exposure and I've got that business experience, but a lot of my peers don't. And I was lucky. I took some risks. I went and worked in the Arctic, where they give you whatever work you need, you want, because they don't have people to take care of things for them. But yeah, that's what I see. Just the exposure, just the experience, it's not there, and people are having to get into business on their own because they're losing their jobs, and they're doing the best with what they have. I think some of them are making it up. Some of them are. It's easy to make it up on the internet. But some of them just, the skills and experiences aren't there, and not, we all have our thing. But yeah, anyways, that's my thoughts.
Well, one thing I wanted to chime in with regard to that is that I believe that one thing that has really affected negatively the whole industry of digital marketing is that we're focusing too much a little bit on the tactics and the tools to make it happen. And that's kind of what I was referring to earlier, as far as returning to the basics, the fundamentals. Because, within my framework here at the agency, we begin with research. We don't begin with production. We don't begin with tactics. We don't begin implementing the tactic until we have the research and the reason why those tactics are going to work. And then after the research comes the strategy phase. So what is the goal? What is that end goal that we're aiming towards? And I feel like a lot of times digital marketers don't have a very clear goal in mind, and I see a lot of confusion between awareness goals, direct purchase goals, attendance goals, et cetera, and those end results that move a business forward can be of a totally different genre and can be affected by completely different genre of tactics themselves. But it's really sad to see some marketers that are implementing awareness tactics to hope for a direct purchase goal, and these are completely different things. So I think there's a lot of budgets, budget that's spent incorrectly. There are misleading tactics. There are, people. We have a situation right now. I'll put a case study right now. We have a situation with one of our clients who, for some strange reason, we're servicing them. We're servicing, some of their campaigns. They hired an extra consultant because they, everybody, every once in a while wants a second opinion. So they hire a consultant, and the consultant is giving advice to our client. So, there's a website and they're telling the client, well, you need to put a slider at the top of your website. You need to put buttons. You need to put text on top of the slider in order to increase your conversion goal. And there is actually a solid consensus throughout the industry that putting buttons and copy on a slider is actually a misguided approach. It does not increase conversion. It actually reduces conversion. It is bad for SEO. It slows down the page. It's across the board. So I had to take a step back, and I was working on a response to that client. And then I said, you know what, let me just be curious, because I knew who this advisor, this consultant was, and I analyzed their website. Now, Google has a Google Speed Insights, a tool for you to evaluate from 0 to 100, what is the speed of a website. So just to be curious, I put this consultant's page in the Speed Insights, and it got a 14 out of 100. One of the lowest scores that I have come upon out of hundreds of websites that we analyze on a weekly basis. So it not only are they giving misguided advice as far as what works and what doesn't work from a conversion, a goal point of view, they're not even represented well with their own web properties. So these are things that, when we talk about reinventing the industry, I think, I don't really know what the solution is. I'm at the verge of calling these people out, really, and starting a war, because if you give a person misguided advice, you're charging them for it, because I think this consultant charges like $400, $500 for a website review. They're giving misguided, incorrect advice, and at the end of the day, you're causing the client problems. They're spending their budgets, and they're being affected in a negative manner. What is the solution to that? If a doctor was in town telling people to pull both of their lungs out or something like that, they would be sued. They'd be called out. But you have people doing the same thing in our industry.
I think it's education. For the consultant has said about, I have some of those sliders on my site, but I did not do that for the purpose of SEO. I know it can slow a site down a little bit. I think a template I use is actually, pretty good template. So if the consultant educates the person saying, hey, look, if you want to be flashy and want to look kind of cool, all right, you can do this. However, these are some of the negative effects that it may have on your page loading speed. And, you can cache it and you can do a lot of other things on the back end, but they need to be educated. And here's something else. Clients need to be educated because maybe not at that extreme, but I've seen a lot of people that in my own industry, in my own area, that have all of a sudden, they started out as traditional marketers. All of a sudden, they're advertising, hey, we're digital marketers. So I'm like, okay, let me do a little bit of research. And I do research. I'm like, oh my gosh, they have they're not influential in anything. They have nobody of any type of influence following them. They haven't really written any articles. They haven't done much, but hey, we're digital marketers. And I try to educate my clients or prospects, hey, you know what? Do your research on people. Look at their website. Look at their credentials. Look what they've done. Are they connected to any people that are influential in the space? Because I think that says a lot. They must be either writing good content or sharing good content or have a good idea of what they're doing. So I think customers need to be educated on how to identify a good consultant for their business.
Right. Well, and then another example is the big war on SEO right now, or the big evolution of SEO. SEO used to mean how to game Google into putting you in the first place. Now SEO means something completely different. Google has gotten smarter. All search engines have gotten smarter, and it's increasingly more difficult to game. But Google has gotten smarter in the direction of serving the users and the person searching in a better fashion. So now you have really three factions out there, right? Three factions in terms of people talking about search engine optimization. On the one end, you have people that are clinging to the old ways, backlink spam and spamming the heck out of pages to make it rise. You have another extreme, people that are saying, everything technical, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is publish good content, which I think is as patently false as just doing following the old ways. I don't think just publishing good content is going to get you anywhere. There are technical aspects, and I think that's the other middle ground, the other faction today, which are really looking for a balanced view of both the technical aspects of SEO and giving value to good content, right? Giving weight to the importance of having good content. And I think that's a more balanced approach. And that balanced approach is where I think that next level or that next phase, the evolution in digital marketing is, where we don't discard all the technical aspects of digital, because at the end of the day, this is our cornerstone. This is what differentiates us from traditional advertising. But at the same time, what are those principles? What are the creative principles, the strategic principles that we can make sure that there's a solid foundation in what we're doing? We're taking into account user experience. We're taking into account user attraction. What is serving our customers better, but through and utilizing those digital channels and digital tools.
Wow. So, I mean, so many things come to mind, because I'm thinking, could there be a whole new crop of digital marketers that are starting to appear? Number one, are these people that have possibly been savvy or been involved in some aspect of corporate business, so they kind of understand, all the different operations or moving parts of a business, and those people also have to have a good balance between the technical part of digital marketing as well as what's the other word I'm looking for? The other part of digital marketing.
Right.
So I guess it's a growth thing. I think you can. I think companies now. I mean, I don't know if you were on when I was talking about the CMO report.
No, I did not.
Take a look at that. Anybody out there that's listening, there's a report that Duke Fuqua School of Business puts out. It's called the CMO report. And the statistics on digital marketing and social media were amazingly low. I mean, as far as how many companies were measuring ROI, percentage of companies that actually integrated social media into and a lot of it was because nobody could give them a straight answer into how is this going to affect my bottom line. And I think a lot of people are avoiding that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to answer. They don't know how to answer. Who was it? Mike? Mike was saying, "Hey, let's just get a piece of the pie," But I think companies now are saying, people like yourself, Alex, and the agency that you work for are probably going to be the agencies that are going to be the ones taking over because of your approach.
Well, I do think that the market, the market for digital marketers, so to speak, is becoming saturated, and you can only fool both our clients and the end customer for so long. I mean, I think that is kind of the advantage of digital, is that the industry sort of weeds itself out because everything is measurable. And at the end of the day, you can see in an immediate sense whether something works or it doesn't. So I think there's almost like a self-validation already embedded in what we do. And that's kind of an advantage of what we do, is that, if I recommend a client a certain type of campaign, it either performs or it doesn't. And if it doesn't perform, that affects me as an agency, and it affects the client, and it affects their perception of our work, and their possible reviews down the line or whatever. So I do think that's kind of the light at the end of the tunnel, is that I come from a traditional advertising background, and traditional advertising. How do I say it? There's a big problem in traditional advertising, and it's that the measurements still are up to some point subjective. Like, for example, if I put a billboard on a highway, there's really no objective way to measure how many impressions that billboard had. You can estimate it based on traffic numbers and things like that. And there are actually some platforms that are being developed to do digital measurement of traditional billboards, right? But until that's widespread, it's still a little bit, speculative, right? But I'm not putting down traditional advertising by any means. I'm just saying that is the nature of what it is, and it's been the nature for 100 years or more. So I think the advantage of the platform that we have is that everything is measurable. Numerically measured is one of those qualities that really weighs into what we do, and we as marketers, we need to have that numerically measured labeled as one of our cornerstones of what we do. So from deployment of our campaign, how are we going to measure success or failure of our campaign? And then, back when the campaign is ending or throughout the duration of the campaign, refer back to those numbers and ask ourselves whether our campaign is succeeding or not. And that's the type of thing that we have to be bold about and step out and inform our clients, like you were saying, be educational, in an educational fashion, tell our clients up front, this is what we're going to try. If it fails for any reason, we are going to tweak, we are going to affect this, and then be honest with them in that, we don't have a magic ball, we don't have, a magic wand or anything like that. So there's some things that may need to be tweaked down the line. And in fact, that is another advantage that we have as digital marketers. If you have a landing page or a website, we can have, A/B testing and whatnot. And the nature of A/B testing is that we're going to put two versions or slightly different versions of an asset, and we're going to compare which one wins and which one doesn't. And the nature of that comparison is that one of them is going to stink. One of them is not going to, or at least, it's not going to perform as well as the other one. So we need to be upfront and honest with our clients in that this is the way we are approaching things.
Yeah.
So do you think that you're oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just gonna say, I think everything that I'm hearing anyways from you guys really goes together. It's educating the clients to let them know to expect more, to rely on metrics, which I see a lot of clients. I've worked in government for quite a while. A lot of people scared of using metrics because they don't like using numbers. So a fear of math, a fear of numbers, and a fear of measuring what you may feel is inadequate in the first place.
Right.
I think a lot of those fears are keeping people away from using those metrics. But as things get tighter for some of these businesses and organizations, as I've seen in government and small business in Northern Canada anyway, we're going to have to do better. And I think that's going to be a big change, at least from what I'm seeing, is there's not going to be an option to do better or to start to use metrics. We're going to have to measure what we're doing.
Absolutely.
I think too, and that's a great point, and that you bring up about metrics. I think you can be fairly targeted with digital marketing, but with any type of marketing, you are going to have some failures. I think people's their whole sentiments change. Things just change, so you kind of have to find, okay, what's going to be the right campaign to work. I think maybe a way to possibly balance that is by getting intricately involved in more aspects of the company that you're actually marketing for. Because if you as a digital marketer can come in and I don't know how it is with you, Alex, do they say, hey, we want to sell this product or we want to push this service? And you say, okay, but why? And they, we just want to. Well, but why? I mean, does it line up with your vision? Because I'm sure you found this out. A lot of, especially the smaller companies, they don't even know what their vision is. They haven't even identified a vision. So, if you're able to step in and, okay, does it align with your vision? Well, okay, what is your vision? It's ABC. Well, maybe we shouldn't market that. Is that really the right? Because now I'm saying, I'm looking at you as a digital marketer saying, wow, they're really adding a lot of value beyond the metrics. Right. You're actually giving the company a higher probability of success when they do bring their product or service to market because it's in line with their vision, which is hopefully in line with their revenue goals. And then you say, hey, now we can put this out there. Now we know we have so that's a nice way, I think, that you can balance those metrics.
Well, yeah,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
And in fact, within our formula here as an agency, we follow a 5-step formula. And the first step is a mantra we call based on reality. And within based on reality is the nature of your offer. What is it that you offer? What is it that your customers really want? And does your offer correspond to the need or the desire of your audience? Because like you were saying, like you were implying there, many businesses go on with an offer that they feel is good, they feel the price is fair, but it doesn't necessarily respond to a need or a desire, a real need or desire from the audience that they're targeting. So I agree with you that first step should be looking at the offer, identifying who the audience is, and really going, crystal clear, identifying in a very clear manner, who are you talking to? Who are you trying to reach? And what are their deepest desires or needs that you're trying to serve? At the end of the day, that audience, there are realities about that audience that we want to base our campaign on, such as, what is, demographics, psychographics, technographics, geographics, all these realities. Do we have that delineated and defined so that we can really, curate and cater our offer to them? There's also a competitive landscape, which is also part of the reality of any market. So the idea of do our clients understand who our target audience is comparing our offer against, so that, when we can present something. It was one of the things that happens with a lot of offers that we put out there, is that it is perceived as X. So for example, if I have a nutritional pill, right, let's just say a vitamin supplement, our target audience may turn it down because they say, oh, that vitamin supplement looks really good, but I can get, something at Walmart for $10 cheaper or $20 cheaper or whatever. But oftentimes they're not comparing apples to apples, right? They're just taking a broad sense of nutritional supplements. And within that broad sense of nutritional supplements, anything can fit in. You can fit in products from $1 to $1,000, right? So the really clarifying to our audience what our offer really is, right? What are the benefits, specific benefits of our offer, and really color that in for them, so that when they compare us in that competitive landscape, they're doing a fair comparison at the end of the day.
That's a great point.
Yeah, that's something that I think that digital marketers working with clients or developing our own products, we should be very, 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 very in tune with the reality of our offer, our audience, and the market as a whole.
So, man, you said a lot of great things. Yeah, I had a question I want to ask you too.
Yep.
First, hey, if everybody out there is listening, can you hit the little bird and tell little bird about this, and let's get build our audience up, because I think this is a really important topic that we need to discuss, and I plan on doing it often, because I think we just need to be trailblazers out there. Even if our company's already doing it, we do need to let people know that I think this is the real way to deliver value in digital marketing. So do you feel as if digital technology, in terms of apps, should be part of the digital marketing strategy for companies?
Again, it depends on what's the end goal. I think that I see apps as a tactic, as one among a list of tactics, and that tactic, there are engagement goals with an app. There are brand loyalty goals with an app. I mean, there's a bunch of things, and I have my friend Gabe Aloisi here in the audience, and he's developed an app that increases customer loyalty. It enhances the customer's experience, and he could talk a lot more about that. So I do feel like there is a time and a place for apps. Now, do apps work for anybody? I don't think so. I don't think that every business out there should have an app there just to kind of increase their visibility or to have a presence in the app store, things like that. But I think there are very functional uses for mobile applications and mobile functions as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think I don't think you should just have an app for the heck of having an app. But I do think that with a digital marketing company, that should be one of the offerings, because and for example, in real world example, I was working with a company who actually trying to get their business, and we usually send out a customer needs analysis, and through that we can, we talk about revenue goals and pain points and things like that. And they were having a real retention problem for employees. And when I sat back, I started thinking, well, yeah, we can put together a digital marketing plan for you, but with a problem
family there.
Yeah, my little boy just walked in. It wasn't like I had a ghost in the house or something. But so when we went when we got the answers back, we were like, okay, so you have employee retention problem. And we actually had a developer that had developed an app that helped with timekeeping, remote timekeeping. So this client ran a cleaning company. And we sat back and we kind of presented this to him saying, you know what, we actually think it just could cut your costs down quite a bit by being able to monitor the time of your employees on site rather than having them come and check in, then have to go to the work site. And what that meant for him was freeing up some revenue, which the freed up revenue can now be redirected in other areas of his business, including his marketing plan. So really, it was kind of a win-win situation for everybody. So even though we didn't come out there saying, oh, by the way, we can make you an app, we were aware of something or an app that would help his overall business, and I think it could lend to the success of his marketing plan once we put it into play. So that's what I mean.
That's a very smart way.
Yeah, does that make sense?
That's a smart way to look at really servicing our clients in something that's beyond maybe marketing itself, but more, operations. Just today I was meeting with one of my clients, and at the end of the meeting, it was like, you know what, I need to introduce you to a very valuable, referral that could be very, very valuable for you, which is another client of mine. So that's more, I think, of adding value to them in offering just much more than just marketing. But I do agree with you that being aware of every piece that could affect the business is a good thing.
Hey, I'm sorry. I think my son is having technical difficulties with the tablet, so he's asking.
Don't apologize. I'm a family man too, so don't worry.
So I'll get to you in a little bit, okay, buddy? Just give me a chance here, all right? You can play with my tablet upstairs. Sit at the top of the stairs.
I want to play upstairs.
Okay, go ahead. All right, so
We had a cameo there.
yeah, cameo. He is not camera shy. Blab bombing, my kind of kid. Yeah. All right, Andy. So let's get back to. I kind of changed the topic: how to deliver value in digital marketing. So, are you saying that maybe our initial approach in I guess you could say the customer needs analysis or our initial sit down with a prospective client may need to be refined or maybe even broadened beyond getting you a website, getting you SEO, getting you optimized, and all these other things. Do you think that maybe that needs to be the approach now?
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. Many people that are out there, as digital marketers, what they're doing is really selling services, deliverables. So I understand within their business model, they have a vested interest to kind of cut to the chase and say, you need to invest in this tool, or you need to invest in this asset, this creative asset, and just go for it, right? Rather than, you know, taking a step backward and just, you know, doing something as simple as really delving into their needs. Now, again, the way I expressed it was that they generate revenue from building the assets, building the tools, or selling them on a subscription of a tool. They don't generate revenue on an initial advisory, on sitting down with the client. And I think that tips the whole, you know, the interest in another way, right? In a way that sometimes becomes unfortunate, right? So in a sense, the solution should be to have in my mind, have an initial advisory session with the client that has a cost, right? Whether that cost is low or high, and I favor a low cost because it's almost like an introductory engagement, but there is a value to your time, there's a value to your experience, there's a value to your knowledge, there's a value to your advice, and therefore it should be compensated, right? So one of the things that we've implemented, because we have practiced this, one of the things we implemented is that we have an initial engagement for which we charge. And that initial engagement is kind of that, you know, that needs analysis that you say. We call it a discovery phase. Okay. We charge, it's a very low rate. It's not a revenue builder for us by any means, but we charge it because we believe in the value that we bring. Now, the way I communicated with my clients is I say, you know, you're going to pay a small fee. This is just a representative, just so we, you know, that we take that out of the way. You know, we could spend our time with many things, but we want to focus on you. Now, if you're not satisfied with that initial engagement, we'll refund 100% of that amount, right? If you don't feel you got value and that our advice was misguided, we'll refund it. And it's, you know, it was a free session. It didn't serve you any purpose. We're not interested in your money. You know, what we're interested in giving is in giving you advice, but at the same time, and this is, you know, this is not part of our verbiage, but we this is kind of our philosophy behind it, is that we're not interested in wasting our time, right? We're not interested in having initial engagements with clients that at the end of the day, they say, oh, I don't really want to spend any money. Because then what's the purpose, right? I mean, yeah, for us to move forward,
I like that.
We have to have a budget for us to move forward. And in order for that to happen, you know, there has to be some kind of show of trust, you know, and you know, sometimes when you know there's a budget issue, or we know that it's a small client or whatever, we'll go as far as to say, hey, listen, you'll cover this initial discovery phase, and if you decide to move forward, we'll give you a credit for that amount, right? We'll credit that amount to the total budget, and that makes it even more irresistibly attractive. At the end of the day, it's like,
good idea.
You know, yeah. I mean, how would I say no? There's a 100% guarantee. They'll even credit it to the campaign costs because, like I said, it's kind of a show for us to say, or a way to show that it's not about the money. You know, it's about let's not waste our time. But at the same time, this also gives kind of value to both parts. It keeps us accountable in that initial engagement, because we know that we're being compensated and we are forced. You know, it's our credibility is on the line, right? For us to show value in that engagement. So far, nobody has asked us for a refund for the discovery phase. So we know that we're showing up with value. But, you know, once again, our impetus, our motivation isn't to sell them on services and deliverables. At the end of the day, we want the best of the best for our client. Some clients, when we have that initial engagement, they decide not to move forward with us, and that is okay. You know, that's completely fine. You know, we gave them value. They didn't ask for the refund back. We followed up with them, and they say, hey, you know, it was great. The information was great. I just think I'm going to implement it with my internal team or whatever that is. Fine, that's great. If they weren't going to be a client of ours, then so be it. You know, it's a quick way to discover that, right? But again, you know, we remove that thing that only if I sell them a website or a landing page or campaign management or whatever the service may be, that's when I make the revenue. It's no longer in the picture.
Wow, that's a good idea. I mean, I'm thinking it's got to be fairly. I mean, it's got to be it's got to be low enough that they're not asking for the refund.
Right.
But then again, it has to be high enough that if they take some of your knowledge and want to run with it, that you feel as if you've been duly compensated.
Right. Exactly.
I think finding that sweet spot is what, initially, and this was like, it was like probably the dumbest thing I ever did. And I did it for a while with my business. It wasn't until I went into kind of a brain trust roundtable discussion with other business owners that I stated my problem. They say, well, why don't you do this? I'm like, duh, I should have done all. I was actually sitting down with people. They said, hey, I'd really like to, I'm very interested. And I was literally doing the research, putting together this really in-depth digital marketing plan. And then no, we don't. I wasn't giving them the plan, but they're like, oh, no, we don't want to do it. I'm like, I just spent hours on this thing, So one approach I took was, hey, you know what? If you want to take the digital marketing plan with you, there's going to be a cost for that, and it's a substantial cost. If you should decide to go with us, of course, if we're managing it, then that cost is, you don't pay for the plan. However, if the agreement is violated at any time, once you sign the contract, you own the plan. You're going to pay for that plan if we're terminated beyond the end of the contract. So that's kind of how but I really like what you said, because all my initial consultations, or my staff does consultations, have been at no cost.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you bring up a good point. There's a guy named Lawrence Chan. He's a marketer. He's a photographer. He worked for Grace Ormond, I guess, wedding magazine. A brilliant guy, great ideas. And he said, you know what? If your price point is too low, people are going to expect that type of service.
Exactly.
If your price point is higher, they're saying, well, there must be a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of concept with your asking for the initial consultation fee.
Right.
So I think that is satisfied, as well as you guys really value your time and your advice, and that means a lot to somebody who's thinking about doing business with
Absolutely.
you. I mean, I learned something. I may just implement it.
Hey, go ahead, run with it.
I'm going to implement that. I really like that.
Right,
so,
right. Well,
we probably got about 5 minutes left. This went a little bit longer than I expected, and I want my wife to get a little, what are you doing down there in your office all this time? So spend some time with the kids.
I understand.
But so we got 5 more minutes. I think this is great. I think there's some good information put out here, and I would really like to kind of see if we can continue this on a weekly basis, because I think there's a lot of people out there hungry for a new approach, for providing value, and people are getting. I mean, like Chris Brogan, his latest article kind of helped me think about this. He said, let's get off of the content marketing hamster wheel.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I was like, oh, thank God you put that out, because I'm like, that's all I hear. It's like the buzzword, content mark. And I was getting so sick of it. I'm like, and I've been jumping in and out of rooms, and I keep hearing the same thing. And I'm like, I need something to deliver more value for my clients. And I think more people need to know how to deliver more value to their clients.
Right.
We, part of the reason I built my company structure, I kind of stole it from J&J. I used to work for Johnson & Johnson, and I liked that they were the healthcare company with 200 operating companies underneath them. So when I left J&J, I said, you know what? I really want to take more of a forensic approach to digital marketing, but I don't want to do it all. And I was running into a lot of independent consultants that I thought were very brilliant. And I had a good network. I had the connections. And I said, well, here's a way that we can form strategic partnerships. Whereas when I go in to talk about marketing, if they need an operational strategy or financial strategy, you're my guy. You're a peer as part of our company. You go in there and you take care of it. You're still independent. If you walk into a company and you do a discovery session, and you say, man, you really need marketing
Mm-hmm.
as part of your operational strategy, then we come in,
Right.
and that's how I built the company. And it's been amazing. We've tripled our network. I think we've provided a lot more value to the companies that we're working with.
Mm.
And we've also helped each other out, grow each other's companies. So it's been a win-win for everybody involved.
That's fantastic.
And I think other digital marketers could probably form a lot of these strategic relationships to increase their value. I think they can do what you did, what you said, in like a discovery meeting and the charging. I think somebody else was talking about getting to know the culture of the company as a digital marketer. So a lot of good things are brought out in this session. Let's hope people keep jumping in. I definitely would like to have you in, Alex, maybe next week as a co-host if this time works for you. I'll schedule
what
it
is
again.
this, Thursday? Thursday, what? You start 6?
5 p.m.
Oh, I don't know.
Are you in Eastern time?
I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, I'm Central time, so it's 5, 6 o'clock
Gotcha,
your time.
gotcha.
So if this is a good time, we can schedule, or if you want to run it an hour later, I can do that.
Thursdays are usually tricky for me, but I'm following you now, so I'll try and jump in next time.
Cool. Okay, great. Any closing thoughts? I think I gave all mine. I talked a lot.
No, that's good. No, this has been great, and I think I like to deal with topics where we're not just talking about the negatives, because I think it's easy to talk about this sucks, this things, and blah blah blah. But if we offer valuable ideas, like I think we've thrown around some good ideas, things to consider, I think that's where the value is for our audiences, for people listening in, people listening to the replay, where they can go out with some good nuggets, things to consider, things to apply, whether they agree or not. But at least there's something in a positive sense where we're moving forward with something worthwhile. You know what I'm saying? Not being just throwing tomatoes at everything, because I think that's easy, and there's no risk in that. When I say this stinks, there's no real risk, in our part. And I think we need to be authoritative and specialist at what we do and take a stand for certain values. And I think you and I, we've thrown out some good values that hopefully the audience can listen to and apply.
Awesome, man. That was great. Great summation. I don't even think I can top. I can't top that one. But anyway, hey everybody, thanks a lot for jumping in. I've really enjoyed this. How to deliver value in digital marketing, take your digital marketing, social media to the next level. Hopefully we'll do this again next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Thanks a lot, Alex. It's been a pleasure meeting you. Best of luck, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Okay?
Yeah, we'll connect.
All right. Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.